Good day, my name is Sibusiso Mondlana. I'm a first year student in Masters in Interpreting Studies, and the title of my research proposal is Television News Interpreting, with a special focus on coping strategies used by South African Sign Language interpreters during the COVID-19 pandemic. On the next slide, I will take you through an overview on the purpose of this study, the research questions, the literature review, the population sampling, and ethical considerations, data collection and analysis, the limitation of the study, and I will conclude. Basically, the purpose of this study is to explore and examine difficulties experienced by television news South African Sign Language interpreters who worked during the COVID-19 pandemic in order to ascertain the impact of technical SOX text, explore norms of media interpreting in that context, explore techniques and possible solutions that were provided by the interpreters in that context, and also explore target audience expectations, which are the deaf viewers. On the next slide is the research question. I would want to focus on how interpreters prepare for live TV broadcast during the COVID-19 pandemic, and to what extent do interpreters use standardized forms of South African Sign Language. I would like to inquire on which elements of the physical settings hampers with the interpreter visibility, whether deaf people are able to see the interpreter on screen. I would also want to verify or check on how interpreters consult with SASL users in order to produce meaningful signs that are being interpreted on a live transmission, especially under circumstances of COVID-19 where there was new terminology being coined. On the next slide, it's the literature review, and the listed authors are Bidoli and Cynthia, who focuses on research on the South African sign, or rather research on the sign language interpreting in the global sphere, covering the role of sign language interpreters in the area of news through simultaneous interpreting on TV. It also looks on the linguistics and cultural divide between the deaf and hearing worlds. The following study would be Jill 2005, where he focuses on directionality, formulating or familiarity with the topic, and interpreter performance. The study looks at how simultaneous interpreters perform, or their performance, how it differs from a second and into a first language. Here, participants were recorded interpreting speeches into both their first and second languages on familiar and unfamiliar topics, and their individual performance were compared on the basis of an experimental assessment. The third study, or the other study that I would look into and is more relevant to my research, is Pogega 2007. He researched on unique features of TV interpreting on high exposure interpreting. The other study is Walmart 2004, where she examines 4 spoken language interpreters. This is a study that is more or less different from the other authors listed, because these are spoken language interpreting, and I would like to make a contrast using this study. In this study, she found that interpreters who were working under severe pressure would use loan words only under those circumstances of working under pressure. The next study is still Hallmark 2000, where she examines simultaneous interpreting norms and strategies in a legislative context. She identified difficulties of technicalities and high-paced produced by speakers in that context. This would be more relevant to make a contrast with my study, where would assess or evaluate interpreters in that in the same context. The last author would be Wemeyer 2005. In her study, she used a questionnaire-based research in which she investigated TV news broadcasting interpretation in SASL, and she identified factors hindering comprehension, and she used an open-ended questionnaire. She further explored deaf expectancy norms. On the next slide, it would be population and sampling. I've two groupings with regards to that. The first one is for television South African Sign Language interpreters who are Gauteng based and have interpreted the COVID-19 special broadcasts. The second group would be about 20 deaf viewers who are from the age of 18 and above, who are South African and who have access to email, internet, and television. Some of the ethical considerations revolve around visual gestural language, which is SASL, and it should be noted that identification cannot be avoided because of the type of study that is going to be done is more dependent on non-manual features and facial expressions, where people's faces or people's identities will be seen or known. However, a detailed ethical application will be submitted to the ethics committee of the university, clearly stipulating the purpose of the study, and consent letters will be forwarded to all participants, clearly stating that this research is recorded only for research purposes and it is not a form of assessment. The next slide, I'll take you through data collection and analysis. I will apply a grounded theory methodology because this study requires written questionnaires, video recordings, and semi-structured interviews. The type of data that I will use would be extracted from YouTube and only YouTube. However, it would be regarded as data that was recorded, now archived on YouTube. The transcriptions will be conducted through LN. LN is a system used to transcribe sign language variations. Some of the limitations for this study would be that it is only focused on the COVID-19 TV interpreters. There might be cost that would be incurred, and there might be also restriction because of the COVID-19 protocols. And some of the limitation would be internet access for participants. And I will conclude by saying this research, the research findings might serve as a blueprint to better solutions to derive from when interpreting live broadcasting news and announcements during a period of a pandemic and special broadcasting events. Thank you.